Welcome back to the Marketing MadMen on Extra 106.3. Nick Constantino here, and we're finishing our conversation with Arnaldo Castillo, and we're talking about Tio Luchos. So, Chef, on a Friday night, I'm coming in, my wife and I, we're coming in for dinner. Call it 6:30, which is not true. We usually eat at 5 because we have 2 little nut job kids, so we got to eat like the old senior citizen special. Yeah. But set the perfect table with what a perfect meal is. Talk about what I'm ordering for appetizer, how much time I should spend, the drinks. Talk about that stuff, because I really want to paint a picture, and I want to make sure everybody knows how they can find you and how they come share that experience.
Well, if you come into Tia Luchos at the real time, you say at 5 o'clock, you're going to be able to hit the happy hours specials that we have. So, we're going to showcase a couple of cocktails, caipirinhas.
Yep.
Like Latin American cocktails.
Sure.
Margaritas, but we'll also have some pisco sours on there. And then as for the snacks, we like to do just like little bites just to, to complement the drinks. It's also the only time in that happy hour where you can do our oysters by the single. So we have 3 different kinds of oysters. We've got the what I call the naked. So I like to use a lot of Gulf oysters. So right now we got murder points on. The naked ones we just serve with a homemade hot sauce made with Peruvian peppers that are grown here by one of our farmer friends, Jeff, over at Pinewood Springs. Cool. So he's growing ají limos for us. So, and just a little side story, I've been working with him for, I want to say, over 5 years and trying to cultivate these Peruvian peppers here in Georgia.
That's cool.
So,
And I think one of the things people misunderstand about pepper, they assume hot all the time. And I think Peruvian, especially when you have la brasa, pollo la brasa, like the ají amarillo, it's not hot. It's very flavorful, and it's got a light kick, but peppers don't always mean hot. And I think it's just a poor representation of what cuisine is. So talk about that pepper a little bit more. So you said from Lima, you said?
So the pepper's called ají limo.
Ají limo.
And traditionally that pepper is used in ceviche. So we use it in a multitude of dishes. But just to piggyback off what you said, we use a lot of peppers, but it's to create a foundation for the base of our dishes, Yeah. Ají amarillo is one of them. Ají panca is another one. The ají limo gives it heat, so all the peppers have a reasoning for it. The panca is going to be a little bit more earthy, and it's very similar to guajillo. I like to reference it like that. And then if I want to add a kick to the dish, I'll add some ají limo. And we make our own hot sauce, and I make like a Louisiana-style hot sauce. Love it. With the ají limos, and you can also get our Tio oysters, which are dressed with the leche de tigre. Love it. The tiger's milk. Yep. And then we have our roasted oysters with hatch and ají amarillo bechamel. Love it. Well, it just shows you're taking things, and like most people, they serve you oysters and they do like a half-ass mignette, or like they do these things. The fact that you're making hot sauce from scratch and you're not trying to make it Peruvian, you're trying to make it like Tabasco because that's what people are used to. Yeah. That I love. It's something people aren't doing. I grew up here in the South, so I'm influenced by the techniques. I'm influenced by the dishes, the regional dishes of the South. We have a lot of we like to fry our snapper and cornmeal. We like to do, we have this dish that we'll put on when it gets a little bit colder in the wintertime. We do a chupe, which is a kind of soup, but our base is like a gumbo base. We make a roux. Yeah, roux. Wow. Which is time consuming as can be to make a roux the right way. Like, I've messed with that. It's not easy. It is not easy to do. It's not easy to do. All right, so we got that. So by the way, not a lot of people in Atlanta do happy hour. I know there's some laws and some BS, and I only know because I moved here from DC. And DC, starting 3 p.m. on Thursday, the whole city goes nuts for happy hour. There's more people out for there's more people on happy hour than there are on a Friday night. It's nuts, and it does not stop until Sunday the next morning. People are out partying straight through. And I know it's the laws. You're not allowed to advertise specials and stuff. I know there's rules, but I'm happy you do happy hour, and I'm happy that you've taken the time to put some love into it, so it's a different meal. You're not just discounting half-size plates, because that's what a lot of places do, right? They say it's half price, but they just give you half the serving. They just throw it on the table. You're like, that's happy hour. Right. So I'm glad. So happy hour, I'm thinking beer. You have any Peruvian beers? I don't, but I'm working on getting that. And so this is one of the challenges that I've had since opening up a Peruvian restaurant is it's hard to get Peruvian wines, for example. And a lot of people don't think about Peru with having wines because they all kind of lean into the pisco, which is, big producer of pisco. But isn't Mendoza right across the way? Oh, no, that's from Chile. Okay, my bad. I'm confusing myself. Argentina, but, Argentina and Chile are known for having the wines. Right. But to make pisco, you got to have grapes. So the grape production is huge in Peru. Got it. And so the wines are slowly coming into play here. And it actually took me 9 months to bring Peruvian wine to Tio Luchos. And
that's in Georgia, right? Because there are probably other states with more restaurants that have it. It's just to get it to Georgia, there's rules. Right. Okay.
But, we were the first restaurant in Atlanta to bring Peruvian wine. I was able to do that last year, but it took me like 9 months to do that.
So I'm going to throw this in here now because this is what drives me freaking crazy. Okay, so I'm not the biggest one for lists, but the top 50 restaurants in the world is something I've pretty much seen. Right now, there are, I think, 6 restaurants from Peru in the top 100 in the world, and every magazine you read says this is the #1 culinary destination in the world right now. And the fact that that's the case, and we can't get wine from that place into this country is insane. Central was #1 last year. Central is the #1 restaurant in the world, which means that they must be doing something right. And the fact that it is so complicated to bring those wines in is just insanity to me. I don't understand it. And look, first off, Peru is not a huge country, right? They're not known for a lot of things that they would have these import channels made. But sometimes the global system that we set up does not work in your favor, and that's nuts. So when I'm there, what kind of wines do they make well, and what kind of beers should I look for?
Beers, we like to work with local craft breweries. So I would recommend something from Creature Comforts.
Okay.
I would, on the wine side, we are slowly adding more Spanish and Latin American wines.
Okay.
So I always like to go into some like a light Spanish, like Chacolina maybe.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of effervescence. I think that pairs really well with the crudos and the ceviches that
even like a Vino Verde would be something similar. Light with a little fizz, not a champagne, but
exactly.
Yeah. And again, look, Portuguese cuisine is not that far off too. These things share a lot of similar ancestries and everything. Okay, so we're going into dinner. So me and my wife, we don't get out very often. Let's just throw a bunch of stuff on the table and share it, right? We usually split an entree. You mentioned a snapper. We'd probably get something heavier, steakish, seafood. Again, huge lomo saltado guy.
We have lomo.
I love it. I think for me, the lomo, one, you got to use the right steak, and two, the French fries have to be good and crispy because I think it just absorbs everything. It's my favorite part. But what would you recommend as a meal for her and I sitting down?
All right, so if you're gonna start off, you got to start off with one of the tiraditos.
Okay.
I would recommend. We got a beautiful hamachi one right now that we're doing with the coconut leche de tigre.
Ooh.
So
any acid on it?
Oh, for sure.
So because the leche de tigre kind of cuts the acid a little bit. Is that the purpose of it?
The leche de tigre is made with a lot of citrus, a lot of lime juice. There's also some other ingredients in there like ginger, garlic. This is what we call tiger's milk, and I always say this is the cure-all for anything. If you got any ailments, if you had too many pisco sours the night before. Have some leche de tigre the next day.
I love it. That's like, so when I lived in Vegas, we had Mexican neighbors, and that's what menudo is for the Mexicans. Like, if the world ends and you're hungover, just eat intestines. Here's your menudo. And I did it so many times, and it worked almost I don't think it would work at this age, but when I was younger.
Right?
Yeah.
So, start out with the Hamachi Tiradito. We bring in this beautiful hamachi, Japanese tuna, and, we do sashimi slices. And so that's the difference between a tiradito and a ceviche. A ceviche is going to be cubed fish,
right?
And the tiradito is going to be sliced.
Thin.
And that's where that Nikkei influence comes from.
And that's like a crudo, but they do
like a crudo.
And hamachi is a sushi grade. Yeah, that's that's crazy. Okay, so that you had me. That's a great start.
You're starting off with something light. Now you're going to go into a little bit of a smaller plates.
Yep.
And I recommend the corn fritter bowl that we just have on there. It's influenced by tortitas, which is a type of corn fritter that is from Northern Peru. And what we do is we take yellow corn, we take Peruvian white corn, and then we grate all of that, and then we add this hush puppy base to it.
Cool. Hush puppy South. Yeah.
Right? So we're incorporating a little bit of cornmeal into this mixture, and then we do these fritters, and we're serving them now with a whipped honey butter. So it's kind of like our bread service kind of thing.
Cool.
And
but that's painstaking, right? You just said the hard thing. Like cornmeal is in this country is probably genetically modified and just thrown in, and it's easy to make. If you're shaving actually off of the corn husk, that's a completely different dish, right? It's just a completely different.
We're adding a fresh element to this,
but you're not mocking the way they do it in the South. You're just adding a little lightness and a little mix.
Dish, but it just has that little southern twang to it.
Love it.
Then we've got let's see. I'm a big fan of the octopus that we have on right now. So we do a charred tomato vinaigrette. It's got ají panca. It's got ají mirasol in it. So different peppers that add body but doesn't add any heat to the dish. And then we slow poach this octopus for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So it gets nice and tender, fork tender, not too chewy.
Yeah.
It doesn't just like melt in your mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a little.
My grandmother is from Italy. My mother was born in Italy, but she would take a chain, like a chain link fence, and she would beat the octopus with the chain to tenderize it.
A YouTube video about that.
Yeah, no, that was my grandmother. She was 80 years old, and she had a chain, like she was going into a fight, like wrapped around her hand, and she was just beating the crap out of the octopus. That's how they tenderize it. Yeah. So I mean, crazy world, but anyway.
Yeah. Some people like to throw the wine corks in there.
Yeah.
Or if you throw in a potato, when the potato's done, the octopus is done.
Something like that.
That. But no, we just put it in an aromatic broth and we just let it slow roll. And then, it's nice and tender. And then we add this anticucho marinade to it. Typically that marinade is reserved for beef hearts. So when you're in Lima and you're seeing the street vendors and you see the beef hearts, they're going to do the anticucho marinade on that. We like to take that and apply it to the octopus. So there's a lot of cumin behind it. There's a lot of annatto seed.
And there's nothing more different in the world than octopus and beef hearts. Just the taste and just the texture and the graininess. I mean, I love a beef heart, chicken heart the right way. Yeah. I've also had it the wrong way. It's not a good experience. So, all right, that's awesome. So, you covered some of the Japanese. You guys do a chofa? You do because you get a little Chinese fried rice influence, right?
Fried rice,
yeah. So talk about that one.
Man, my dad was a big fan of Chifa, which is the Chinese-Peruvian
influence, right?
Right, and so he would always go to the Chinatown in Peru in Lima, which is downtown, and he knew all the spots, and he kind of shared that passion with me, and so I wanted to honor him by putting on a chaufa dish. We do it with seafood style, so we do little neck clams. We also do some Georgia shrimp on there as well as some Gulf shrimp. Yeah. And, we do it head on so you can get all those flavors in there. Yeah, which is not something you see at Chinese restaurants often. It's pork and they just overcook the crap out of it. You got to be very delicate with your hand when you're using that much seafood in a dish, especially like fried rice, because overcooked seafood just is not going to help that dish at all. No. But the thing is, we do it on a wok, so we do it the traditional style. Good for you. And, it's quick. It's fast paced. I mean, that dish comes out in like 3 minutes because you just got to get your wok ripping hot. And then once you start, boom. Love it, dude. Yeah. Love it. I am freaking hungry. And this has helped me build the appetite for when I finally get down to Lima. What about dessert? What's your favorite? Dessert. I recommend the Picarones. Okay. And this is the version that we do it sort of like a little donut holes. Cool. And my wife actually came up with this. She's not a pastry chef. She's not classically trained. Sure. She just watched a lot of the Great British Baking Show. That's funny. But she's a fantastic baker. So when I was doing my pop-ups, and I did the tasting menu, I would do all the savory and she would do the desserts. Cool. And, she's from down the street. She's here from Georgia. So she's never had Peruvian food until she met me. And the fact that I was able to tell her, hey, I want these flavor profiles. And she took that and then developed and created her own desserts. Yeah, she can wing it. Bro. It was fantastic. She could wing it. And it's one of the problems with those classically trained chefs. When you get into French baking cuisines, you're so butter heavy, it's really hard to have other flavors shine through. So you got to go so heavy handed with it. Mm-hmm. I love it, man. So what do Americans get wrong about pisco and how do you use pisco in your drinks? Because my wife was born in Puerto Rico, so I have a Latin family. And my father-in-law, who's been all over the world with the pisco and a lot of other stuff, but he loves pisco. So he drinks it everywhere he goes. It's his thing. He likes Amaro from Europe and he likes pisco. Talk about, because pisco's broad, right? There's a lot of different kinds and flavor profiles. Yeah. Talk about what Americans get wrong about pisco and why one should order something on a menu if they see it. What they get, I don't know if they get anything wrong. I mean, they just haven't tried it. I'll say this. Pisco, for it to be classified pisco, it has to come from Peru. Okay. So Chile also has a big production of pisco, but it's not classified as pisco. It's classified as brandy. So if you're going to get something that has pisco on it, I encourage you to get something from Peru. Okay. And now they have different varieties because they use different grapes. At Tia Luchos, we have all of these varieties for you to sample. But the pisco sour, which is the national cocktail of Peru, it uses some people like to use quebranta variety, which is a little smoother pisco. Okay. Acholado has a little bit of heat behind it. It almost reminds me of like a mezcal. Okay. And right now we're using acholado. And a pisco sour is lime juice. It's simple syrup, pisco, and then we like to do it in a little apricot liqueur because it adds a little bit of body to the pisco. And then we add egg whites. And so I was gonna whip them up a little bit, get some foam on the top. Right when you shake it up, you get the foam on the top. That foam smooths out that heat from that pisco variety. Yeah. No, I love it. I'm starving first off, but I think
you're making it, you're normalizing it for people too. You're not coming in and seeing these crazy things on a menu. You're seeing things that you're comfortable with. You're seeing ingredients that you know, which makes it more willing to try new things. And I think sometimes people go one of two extremes. They go too little of the influence and they call it Peruvian and there's one dish on there, or they go too Peruvian and you're scaring away half the people because they don't want a shrimp head on. You know, again, you should if you're from the South, if you know you're doing the right way. But so because it is a marketing show and we haven't touched marketing at all, talk a little bit about it was like marketing the pop-up. Talk a little bit about using the PR firm and how you market, because, you know, one of the things I've learned, the time has changed, right? It used to be you make a good restaurant, people hear about you and come. Now you can make the best restaurant in the world if you're not playing SEO right, if you're not playing these games, if you're Google, if you're not doing the things, talk what you've learned about marketing and how you approached marketing for the restaurant. Well,
you know, marketing for the pop-up when I first started, I knew that I needed to get the word out. If no one knows what I'm doing, if no one hears about it or sees it, then I'm not really marketing my dinners the right way. So, you know, it's very important because I was doing these intimate dinners for only like 20, 30 people. So my goal was to always sell out.
Yep.
And I use social media to create awareness. So I would talk about the ingredients that I'm preparing and getting ready for, the ingredients that I'm purchasing. I would talk about, you know, put a bunch of stories on Instagram, do paid ads on Facebook just to get that traction going. So I tapped into the social media heavy with the pop-up. Now that, you know, we have the brick and mortar, there's other avenues for us to use.
Yeah.
You know, the websites, the Google and all that.
Yeah. I see here James Beard semifinalist.
Yeah.
Did that help? Yeah, I was gonna say. So
we got busy.
Well, look, James Beard existed for the longest time. Yeah. Actually, I actually I saw a documentary about him. The story is not quite what people think it is. It's a pretty crazy story when you find out the whole thing. But you know, when you become into these places of notoriety, did you know that you were going to be a semifinalist? And were you ready for the rave of demand? I mean, if you're watching Google Analytics, you probably see a spike in organic search because all these people are now looking for you. Yeah. Now, I'm curious, are they douchey? Are they foodies that come in and think they know everything when these people are coming in because of James Beard? Are they a different customer?
So, I mean, our business doubled overnight. Like our reservations, you know, doubled overnight. It was fantastic. I didn't know that I was going to get this. A buddy of mine, actually, for a chef in Charleston, of Nico of Cultura, hit me up and he was saying something like, you know, congrats or whatever. Yeah. And I thought he was just like talking about a pop-up dinner that we did like a year before. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, man, I miss you too, or something like that. And he was like, bro, we're on the James Beard. Because he also was nominated for Best Emerging Chef. And I was like, get the out of here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was fantastic, man.
Was that part of the vision board? Were you working towards that? Was that something you wanted? Because, I mean, look, Atlanta didn't even have a Michelin guide until recently. Like, these things were just not topically part of this, right? You know, I come from New York City. They've been doing these things for ever. These, you know, there's all these places have been on these lists forever. But was it something that you wanted? Something that you thought you wanted? Or was it something that you didn't even know you're working towards? And you're like, oh, my God, that's pretty cool.
No, was not really on our to-do list. Or even on mine, you know.
Which is so crazy because you had everything planned out. You knew you were taking this called generational wealth. You wanted all this, and that wasn't on the list, which probably made it that much more authentic.
I think my goal was just to make sure that we have a restaurant where the food, the drinks, and the service is top notch. And so that's what I always aspire, and that's what I always tell my management team is just to, you know, always strive to make sure that we hit it out of the park with these things. And I think that's what helps us get that recognition.
Yeah.
And you know, it's fantastic now, and you know, it's really cool to feel, you know, valued that way.
Yeah, I love it. What about your regulars? So one of the things I do know about a restaurant is without regulars, you're a flash in the pan. You'll be open for 2 years, and then you got to change your concept or something because regulars. What's the neighborhood? Have you adjusted to the neighborhood? Have you really embraced the community? Are they embracing you? Do you have regulars coming in? How's that work?
Yeah, we've got regulars. We're right below a residential building. So we got apartments up top, and so a lot of our regular base comes from that. But we're also in a neighborhood. We're in Ponce Highlands.
Yeah.
We're down the street from Virginia Highlands and in between Inman Park. So, you know, a lot of the people that come to check us out are people, you know, it could be first timers, but it's also a bunch of regulars, you know, that they come in. You know, our place is, you know, cater more for adults and, you know, large parties and whatnot. And I think we do a great job, you know, because we're niche as well. You know, we're the only Peruvian restaurant in the city of Atlanta. And what we're doing is also a little bit contemporary. So we're not doing these super traditional Peruvian plates. You know, we're doing something that's a little bit more elevated.
Yeah. Yeah, I like, because there are some pollo brasa places. I know there's one in Decatur.
Fantastic,
yeah, it's real. Oh my God, if you get it done the right way, man. If
you gotta try our pollo though.
I know, I'm coming, and I'm telling you, I'm coming. I gotta ship the kids away for a little while, but I'm coming. And I love the sauces they put, the green and white sauce with that they put on pollo brasa. It's done the right way, and so. Look, dude, this has been great. I am more excited to go to Peru. Honestly, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to come check you out. We got 3 minutes left. Tell me, when I'm in Peru, the things I have to do. Like, is it getting seafood? Is it go to Chinatown? What do I have to do? What do I have to try while I'm there?
Here, I took my wife for the first time last year.
Okay.
So I would recommend go to Chinatown. So you got to go downtown.
Okay.
Tour the catacombs.
Okay.
You know, cramped spaces. I hope you're not claustrophobic.
Nah, I'll be all right.
It's fun. And when you're in downtown, you can visit all the old school chifa joints.
Okay.
So you can try what Peruvian chifa is like. From then you can definitely make some reservations at like Lamar.
Yep.
You can get Central, go to Central.
Yeah.
I had a fantastic meal there.
We got 3. So we got Maido, we got the Japanese, all the 3 that were on the top 50 list, I got reservations for.
Awesome.
So I'm excited for that. And I think the exchange rate helps there, because it'd probably be a $1,200 meal in the US, but I'm excited for that part of it.
Yeah. Go to the neighborhood of Barranco.
Okay.
It's a little bit more, you know, eclectic, but there's one of the restaurants that I ate there was also on the world's top 50 list.
Cool.
Venezuelan chef using Peruvian ingredients.
Love it.
Man, it was a fantastic meal.
It's a culinary city, though, right? Most lunchtime, you're going to get a meal at lunchtime. Like everywhere you go. What about breakfast? Anything off the top of your head for breakfast, just to make sure I do?
Breakfast, go to, there's a restaurant called Tanta.
Okay.
If you're gonna be, are you staying in like Miraflores? Are you staying?
San Isidro, I think we're staying at the we're staying at the Hyatt Central, right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, so you're overlooking the
water.
The water, beautiful, awesome restaurants around there.
Good,
but they also have a really nice buffet at that hotel.
We shall see. Well, at least you know to the specifics of where the buffet is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, we're excited. One of the things that, like, I used to be the biggest Yelp guy in the world, just because you pop up a new place, you hit it, he finds it. Yeah. But like Eater has done a really good job, and Eater's got a list of 40 restaurants in freaking Lima. Like, that's insane. That there's 40. That's there's other lists of like the top ones. That's just like have to go in Lima is 38. That's when you know in your culinary city. I mean, Peru is Atlanta and Florida together are 5 times the size of Peru, and they have 38 restaurants, which is just crazy. So I'm really excited for it. Tell them how to find you on the web, tell them how to find you on socials, and tell them how to come find you for dinner. Yeah, find us on social media on Instagram at Tio Luchos. You know, tioluchos.com. You can make your reservations for lunch or dinner there. We're on Resi. We're on the hit list right now. So come check us out. Come try our chickens, our ceviches. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Well, Chef, I appreciate this. The next segment will actually be me coming back from Peru, and I'm going to do it live there. Screw it. So let's see if he knows what he's talking about. You listen to the Marketing MadMen on Extra 106.3, and we'll catch you next week.